The story begins on a road as prisoners are transported to a cold, dangerous Russian prison. During a brief stop at a gas station, one prisoner mysteriously vanishes into the surrounding wilderness. He is quickly found and a guard delivers a chilling warning: escape is futile, wolves would have torn him apart. When the prisoners arrive at the colony, they are met with harsh and brutal treatment. Prisoner 864 ends up sharing a cell with a grumpy inmate who makes it clear he doesn't like him. But the man stays calm and says he'll be out in 3 days. His cellmate laughs at him but agrees to one strange condition: they'll never sit together at lunch. The next day during a bench press, bullies try to humiliate this man. Still, he overpowers them with swift, precise movements, drawing the attention of the prison's top predator, Semyon Korny, a notorious killer feared by all. But the tables turn when prisoner 864 introduces himself not as prey, but as a hunter. In a whirlwind of violence, he reveals his true name, Craven, and eliminates Semyon and his gang in mere seconds. Chaos erupts as guards storm the area, but Craven vanishes into the turmoil, leaving his cellmate in stunned silence. True to his word, Craven escapes the prison within 3 days. Battling a relentless winter storm, Craven encounters a starving wolf. Yet, instead of a fight, he uses an uncanny telepathic connection to pacify the animal before pressing on to his destination, a waiting private jet, disguised and ready. He boards the plane, unveiling his real mission: to eliminate Semyon. Wiping off a fake skull tattoo, Craven admits that his identity as prisoner 864 was a ruse, part of a staged death designed to deceive his enemies. The narrative flashes back 16 years earlier to a young Sergei Kravinov, later known as Craven. He and his half-brother Dmitry are picked up from Michael's school in New York by their father, Nikolai. With a heavy heart, Nikolai delivers devastating news: your mother is dead. Unable to discuss the taboo subject, he redirects their grief by taking them to Tanzania's northern game park for a hunting trip, immersing them in survival rather than sorrow. Meanwhile, in the same game park, Calypso shares a serene moment with her grandmother. The elderly woman unveils a set of mystical tarot cards, cautioning that they reveal the future only to those who wield them wisely. Very powerful and protected, Calypso draws 3 cards. One foretelling an imminent accident, another warning of strength and its dangers, and the last hinting at a powerful potion. Her grandmother hands her a vial of ancestral potion, cryptically telling her she'll understand its purpose when the time is right. In the wild, Nikolai's lessons for Sergei are brutal yet transformative, emphasizing fearlessness and the inevitability of death. Dmitry, however, wrestles with feelings of inadequacy, frustrated by their father's favoritism towards Sergei. So, around the campfire, their companion Alexei recounts the tale of a legendary lion rumored to resist even the most skilled hunters. Dismissing it as superstition, Nikolai declares that those who slay legends become legends themselves. Legend becomes legend. The next morning, Alexei proposes a business partnership to Nikolai, but the patriarch coldly rejects him, insisting he only works with those of proven stature. Resentful, Alexei watches as Nikolai channels his energy into teaching his sons to hunt. Later, Sergei and Dmitry find themselves alone in the wild when they come face to face with the legendary lion. Sergei instinctively shields his brother, but the moment is shattered when Nikolai intervenes, shooting and wounding the lion. The powerful creature flees, dragging an injured Sergei into the depths of the forest. Elsewhere, Calypso senses the disturbance. Guided by intuition, she finds the lion hesitating as it lays Sergei down, its blood dripping onto his wounds before retreating. Calypso steps in, administering the potent potion her grandmother had entrusted to her. She leaves a tarot card beside Sergei and calls for help before disappearing into the wilderness. At the hospital, Sergei is initially declared dead, but against all odds he revives 3 minutes later. The miraculous recovery leaves the doctors bewildered, especially when they return to find a peculiar tarot card found with him. Shortly after Nikolai and Dmitry arrive at the scene, Nikolai's first question cuts sharply through the tension, demanding an explanation for Sergei's hesitation during the hunt. Nikolai's pride overpowers any medical concerns, and he insists on taking Sergei home. "I am here to take him home," he says, refusing further tests. Back in their London residence, Sergei comes across letters from his late mother. The letters paint a vivid picture of her despair, blaming Nikolai for her decision to live in another world. As Sergei reads, a storm of emotions bruises within him, and his resentment toward Nikolai deepens. Afterward, Serge meets Dmitry, who tries to lighten the mood by imitating their father's commanding voice. "Father is the only animal," poking fun at how Nikolai nearly got Sergei killed. Dmitri reminds Sergei of their father's harsh disappointment, rooted in Sergei's fear and hesitation during the lion hunt. To Nikolai, this was a sign of inherited weakness from Sergei's mother, something he was determined to fix. Nikolai's solution is to keep Sergei under his watchful eye, grooming him for the family business while sending Dmitri back to school in New York. As a twisted gesture of encouragement, Nikolai even gifts Sergei the mounted lion he had shot. Instead of feeling honored, Serge erupts with anger, accusing his father and storms off. "You should have killed me," he mutters as Dmitri calls after him. Later, as Dmitri called after him, Sergei notices peculiar changes in himself. His features seem sharper, almost animalistic. A piercing eagle's cry outside his window draws his attention, igniting an unexplainable instinct. Acting on a sudden urge, Sergei grabs his passport, the tarot card, and a mysterious potion he had kept. He decides to escape. As he climbs to the rooftop, he stumbles and falls. Remarkably, he lands unharmed, as though something within him had changed. Before leaving, he apologizes to Dmitri, revealing his plan to seek a secret sanctuary their mother had owned in Russia, a place far removed from Nikolai's control. Sergei boards a cargo ship to Russia, gaining the crew's trust, who sense he is fleeing something serious. Upon reaching the wilderness, his heightened senses begin to manifest fully. He spots a herd of buffalo in the distance, and Sergei freezes in fear. To his surprise, one of the buffalo breaks away from the herd and stands protectively in front of him before retreating. The encounter leaves Sergei in awe, but it also confirms that something extraordinary is happening to him. Eventually, Sergei discovers the sanctuary his mother had cherished, recognizing landmarks from his childhood, including a tree etched with his and Dmitri's names. However, the sight of the sanctuary's destruction leaves him heartbroken. That night, haunted by memories of his father's harsh rebukes and his mother's sorrow, Sergei's suppressed rage erupts, awakening a primal force within him. Consumed by this newfound predator instinct, Sergei chases prey across the valley. Though his attempts to catch it fail, later, using his enhanced vision, he spots poachers slaughtering buffalo for their horns. Rage overtakes him, and with unmatched speed and strength, he dismantles the poachers' operation, ensuring no further harm would come to the animals. This moment marks a pivotal turning point in Sergei's life, transforming him forever. Years later, Craven reflects on the path that began in Tanzania, where the lion attack left him both physically and emotionally scarred. Rejecting Nikolai's criminal empire, he chose to forge his own path, becoming a vigilante dedicated to dismantling powerful criminals and protecting the vulnerable. In his journey, Craven stays in touch with Dmitri and uses their mother's sanctuary as a foundation to build his base of operations and armory. Despite his efforts, poachers continue to ravage the area, killing buffalo for their horns. Confronting a group of them one night, Craven demands answers, questioning the senseless destruction of life. The poacher's smug response, rooted in greed and entitlement, only fuels his resolve. Taking them down with unrelenting precision, Craven leaves no room for mercy. Though one poacher escapes, he leaves behind a critical clue. At the London Docklands, the poacher leader arrives nervously, apologizing to Mr. Tadgen for his delays. His confidence wavers as he notices the sticky crimson stains beneath his boots. The realization hits him: it's blood. Before he can react, Craven emerges from the shadows, his presence cold and commanding. The assassin offers no reprieve, interrogating the leader with ice-cold precision. Once he extracts the answers he needs, Craven eliminates him without hesitation, leaving no one alive to spread the story. That's the only way to leave the hunter's list. At Samantha Hodges' funeral, mourners gather under a gray, somber sky. Attorney Calypso delivers a deeply emotional eulogy for her mentor, who was tragically killed under Semyon Korny's influence. Hidden among the mourners, Craven watches from the shadows, his sharp eyes catching every detail of Calypso's grief. After the ceremony, he steps forward to speak to her. Initially, she doesn't recognize him, but when she notices her grandmother's tarot card in his possession, her memories of saving him in Tanzania resurface. The connection becomes undeniable. Craven reveals he had been watching over her ever since and assures her that justice had been served. Semyon Korny was no more. "What would you say if I told you I already did?" Craven asks. Calypso, shocked but relieved, confirms the news. The following day, when they meet again, Calypso confronts him, her tone a mix of curiosity and admonishment. She questions his vigilante methods, pointing out the legal and moral dangers of taking the law into his own hands. Craven explains his motivations, emphasizing that his actions were his way of expressing gratitude for her act of saving his life years ago. Though she couldn't fully condone his methods, she admitted feeling a strange sense of relief knowing Semyon Korny was gone. As their conversations deepened, Calypso pieced together that Craven was the rumored vigilante known in whispers as the Hunter. "So you're the Hunter?" she asked despite her warnings. Their paths continued to intersect when Craven shared a detailed list of criminals he intended to target. He proposed a partnership, blending his unrelenting mission with her legal acumen. Intrigued but cautious, Calypso agreed to consider it, sensing the inevitable collision of their contrasting worlds. "I'll think about it," she said as Craven nodded. Elsewhere, Alexei relaxed at home, playing with his loyal dog. News of Semyon Korny's death buzzed on the television. Semyon Korny was killed in his prison cell, prompting Alexei to joke about the vigilante who had killed him. The humor faded from his face as the realization set in: he might be next on the list. Determined not to be an easy target, Alexei hastily arranged a meeting with Korny's former partners, hoping to secure their loyalty and form a defensive alliance. However, the Russian gang mocked him, dismissing his efforts with jeering laughter and a condescending nickname, Rhino. Furious and humiliated, Alexei swore to prove his strength. When one of the gang members turned on him, opening fire without warning, the bullets ricocheted harmlessly off his suddenly hardened skin. His flesh had transformed into impenetrable rock, a discovery that shocked even Alexei. Realizing the extent of his newfound power, Alexei retaliated with ruthless efficiency, using his snipers to take out most of the gang, leaving only 2 survivors. Alexei declared, "One of you is going to be my partner. Which one of you is it?" Meanwhile, Dmitry, now the owner of a popular bar, entertained guests with his flair for mimicking famous singers. That evening he dedicated a Tony Bennett song to his father, Nikolai, who had made an unannounced visit. Though visibly pleased with the performance, Nikolai's usual distrust lingered, exacerbated by Semyon Korny's recent demise. Seeking to consolidate his power, Nikolai arranged meetings with Korny's former associates, hoping to bring them under his control. However, Alexei, now fully embracing his Rhino persona, preempted him, sending assassins to eliminate Nikolai. The assassination attempt failed spectacularly. Nikolai, ever the seasoned fighter, dispatched the attackers with ease while Dmitry cowered under a piano, paralyzed by fear. After the fight, Nikolai's temper flared, dragging Dmitry out of his hiding spot. "I need fighters, not cowards," Nikolai barked, his words cutting deep. Rhino, enraged by the failed attempt on Nikolai's life, intensified his plans. His new ally presented him with a pen drive containing incriminating evidence: Craven's true identity as Sergei Karanov, Nikolai's estranged son. The revelation shocked Rhino, who saw an opportunity to exploit this familial connection. Determined to end Craven once and for all, Rhino hired a mysterious foreigner with a dark reputation to assist in the hunt. The foreigner began his mission in a Russian prison, retracing Craven's steps. When a guard questioned his presence, the foreigner silenced him with a cold, piercing gaze before calmly pulling the trigger. His chilling declaration, "I'll be seeing you," echoed through the corridor. His mission had only just begun. Meanwhile, Craven sneaked into Dmitry's building through the less conspicuous rear entrance. The dimly lit corridors reminded him of the stealth missions that had become second nature. Inside, he surprised Dmitry, who was joyfully celebrating his birthday with a small but elaborate setup. Dmitry, ever the showman, insisted Craven join the fun in style, swapping his rugged attire for a tailored suit. Despite the quiet setting, Dmitry made the most of their time, and their laughter echoed through the apartment as they strolled to dinner. Craven spotted a man across the street, walking hurriedly, his suit slightly disheveled. Smirking, he commented on the faint scent of perfume clinging to the man, loudly hinting at the man's affair. "She was going to find us soon enough." At the restaurant, Dmitry, emboldened by the evening, opened up about the constant pressure from their father. His voice carried a mix of frustration and longing as he recounted the years of being berated for not living up to Nikolai's expectations. Craven listened carefully before offering heartfelt advice. "Why would you want to be anybody but yourself? So he respects you for once." Grateful for Craven's words, Dmitry smiled, relieved to have his brother by his side for the celebration. Their dinner took an unexpected turn when Nikolai showed up uninvited, holding a bottle of vintage wine. He seamlessly blended into the gathering, his charm disarming the tension. Sharing drinks, the three exchanged rare moments of warmth, with Nikolai offering hints of approval that both brothers had craved. However, the underlying conflicts remained unresolved. After dinner, Craven carried an intoxicated Dmitri back to his apartment. On the way, Dmitri, with the unguarded honesty of someone drunk, told Craven to stop blaming himself for past mistakes. "Everything's fine," he slurred, patting Craven's shoulder before drifting off to sleep. Craven laid him on the couch, but his own mind wouldn't rest. Unable to shake his guilt, he quietly slipped out to find another place to spend the night. The next morning, Craven hurriedly entered an elevator, sharing a brief but tense silence with another passenger who seemed indifferent to his disheveled appearance. Arriving back at Dimitri's apartment, he was met with a disturbing scene. The door ajar, the interior ransacked, and Dmitri nowhere to be found. Panic set in as he discovered clear signs of a struggle. A chilling realization dawned: Dmitri had been kidnapped. Spotting tire marks outside, Craven sprinted after the vehicle, his instincts sharpening as adrenaline took over. Inside the truck, Dmitri, rendered unconscious, lay bound as the mercenaries made their getaway. Craven caught up, leaping onto the moving vehicle and causing it to swerve violently. A chaotic struggle ensued atop the truck as Craven fought to overpower the kidnappers. In the fray, he lost his grip and was thrown off, tumbling onto the roadside. Undeterred, he quickly regained his footing and chased after the truck until it vanished, his pursuit halted by a metallic tower obstructing his path. Bruised but resolute, Craven headed to Calypso's law firm. Stopped by security, his disheveled appearance raised suspicion, but Calypso intervened just in time, pretending he was a client and pulling him aside. She scolded him for his reckless behavior but listened intently as he explained the situation. Ever resourceful, Calypso assured him she would leverage her connections to locate Dmitri and get him back. "We will get him back," she promised with quiet determination. Craven's next stop was with Nikolai, who already knew Rhino was behind the abduction. The kidnappers sent a severed finger as proof, demanding $20 million within 48 hours. Nikolai, refusing to give in, argued that paying the ransom would only embolden their enemies. His cold logic enraged Craven, who silently vowed to rescue Dmitri on his own. Nikolai shifted the blame to Craven, accusing him of failing to protect Dmitri despite being present during the kidnapping. His words stung and Craven struggled to suppress his anger. Meanwhile, Dmitri was held captive in a remote location, briefly attempting to fight back before the mercenaries forced him into compliance. Calypso's investigations led her to a secret agent who provided Dimitri's location, a monastery in Anara. Unbeknownst to her, the information was a trap, orchestrated by the foreigner, Rhino's newly hired operative. The agent, having fulfilled his role, is swiftly eliminated by the foreigner to erase any trace of the deception. Calypso, unaware of the danger, relays the information to Craven, expressing gratitude for trusting her. In northern Turkey, Craven infiltrates the monastery under the cover of darkness. His movements are calculated and silent as he dispatches mercenaries one by one, blending seamlessly into the shadows. However, a careless guard raises the alarm, shattering the quiet with blaring sirens. Chaos erupts as Craven battles wave after wave of enemies, his movements a blur of lethal precision. Despite his best efforts, the tide turns when Rhino's mercenaries launch a missile, obliterating part of the building. Forced to retreat, Craven vows to return, his determination burning brighter than ever. The foreigner arrives at the scene of the monastery ruins, using his unparalleled mastery of illusions to slip past the investigating police. His ability to create false trails leaves the authorities chasing phantoms, ensuring their focus is directed away from his true purpose. Meanwhile, Rhino reveals his ultimate target to Dmitri, making it clear that Craven is the one he intends to eliminate as part of his psychological tactics. "You came into my possession by accident," Rhino taunts. He shows Dmitri a video exposing Craven's real identity as Sergei Karanov. Dmitri remains firm, his loyalty to Craven unwavering. He dismisses the revelation and asserts his belief in his brother's integrity. Despite Dimitri's defiance, Rhino remains focused on his plan, intent on striking first before Craven can retaliate. "You think my brother Serge is the hunter?" Rhino sneers. Craven, recovering from the missile attack, wastes no time in contacting Calypso, recognizing the trap set for him. "The whole thing was a trap," he warns her. He urges her to relocate immediately. Calypso, aware of the severity of the situation, swiftly packs her belongings and moves to a secure safe house. While she retreats to safety, the Rhino employs a softer approach with Dmitri, attempting to gain his trust. He shares his own experiences of being belittled and demeaned, even by Nikolai and taking over their father's territory. "I want you to be my partner," he insists. Highlighting the pain of living in another's shadow, Rhino recounts his own transformation, a result of a harrowing medical experiment that left him physically monstrous and dependent on a specialized liquid medicine stored in his feed bag. He struggles to maintain his humanity despite the constant toll it takes on him. However, even this confession fails to sway Dmitri, who refuses to betray his family by aligning with the Rhino. The foreigner soon joins forces with Rhino, impressing him with his ability to infiltrate unnoticed. Although the Rhino acknowledges the foreigner's skills, there is an undercurrent of rivalry. The Rhino asserts his own dominance. Elsewhere, Craven and Calypso find temporary refuge in his jungle sanctuary. However, their peace is short-lived as their adversaries begin closing in on their location. In a moment that blurs the line between the human and the wild, Craven demonstrates an almost supernatural bond with a leopard. The animal approaches him without fear, its movements reflecting an unspoken connection. Calypso, witnessing this surreal interaction, is left questioning the true nature of Craven and the extent of his transformation. At the same time, the foreigner reveals his personal vendetta against Craven, driven by the desire to avenge the death of his mentor, Semyon Korny. As he uncovers Craven's network of hideouts, the foreigner becomes even more resolute in his mission, vowing to bring Craven to justice. Back at the sanctuary, Calypso examines Craven's extensive research on weapons and tactics, her mind drifting back to her own training during summer camps. Craven confesses his ongoing efforts to recreate the potion that saved his life, though all his attempts have failed. Calypso, however, refuses to share her family's ancestral knowledge, believing that the transformation the potion created in Craven has led to more harm than good. Her refusal stems from a deep distrust of the changes she has observed in him. As the situation escalates, Calypso's agents inform her of the Rhino's movements. Simultaneously, the foreigner updates the Rhino on the development of illusion chemicals designed to disorient Craven. Unfazed, the Rhino attempts to contact Craven directly, proposing a partnership. Craven, resolute in his principles, refuses to negotiate with criminals and ends the conversation. Enraged by the rejection, the Rhino orders his mercenaries to hunt Craven relentlessly, issuing a grim ultimatum for their success. Anticipating the attack, Craven prepares for the impending battle. He dons his war armor and arms himself with an array of weapons, utilizing the sanctuary's natural defenses and his ingenuity to set deadly traps. When the mercenaries arrive, they fall victim to Craven's calculated strategy, suffering heavy losses. Amid the chaos, Dmitri seizes an opportunity to escape. Frustrated by the failure of his forces, the Rhino escalates the assault, deploying a helicopter and dropping explosives to force Craven out of hiding. The distraction gives the foreigner the chance to strike, hitting Craven with a tranquilizer dart. As the dart takes effect, Craven becomes overwhelmed by vivid, horrifying illusions that prey on his deepest fears. The foreigner uses his expertise in psychological manipulation to disorient Craven further, rendering him vulnerable. With Craven subdued, the foreigner prepares to transport him, fully intending to deliver him to his employers in whatever state serves their purpose. Confident in his victory, the foreigner overpowers Craven and prepares to deliver the final blow. He mutters to himself about how easy the task turned out to be, but his triumph is short-lived. A sudden arrow pierces his eye, halting his attack. The unexpected strike comes from an unseen archer. The archer is revealed to be Calypso, who had been tracking the chaos from afar. Determined to save Craven, she steps in just in time, ignoring his earlier reluctance. Calypso administers the ancestral potion that she had previously claimed was lost. As the mystical liquid courses through his veins, Craven regains his strength and vitality. Lunatic with my family's deepest legacy, his senses heighten to new levels. Calypso watches as he rises, his presence now more commanding and feral than ever. Meanwhile, oblivious to Craven's survival, the Rhino celebrates the supposed death of his greatest rival. He revels in the belief that he has succeeded where many have failed, boasting that even legends can fall. His triumph is interrupted when Dmitri is loaded into a vehicle, signaling the start of the Rhino's next move. His sights shift toward Nikolai, now his ultimate target. However, before the convoy can depart, a sudden stampede of buffalo descends upon the area. The Rhino orders his men to activate protective measures. As the ground trembles beneath the charging herd, Craven, fully recovered and emboldened by the potion, joins the chaos, using the buffalo's natural power to his advantage. The frenzied scene sets the stage for a climactic confrontation between Craven and the rhino. The two engage in a brutal melee, their strength and resolve pushing each other to their limits. The rhino, relying on his formidable size and enhanced physique, taunts Craven, daring him to finish what he started. Amid the brawl, Craven studies his opponent's movements and spots a critical vulnerability. Timing his attacks with the charging buffalo, he exploits the weak point, delivering a decisive blow that brings the rhino to his knees. As the rhino lies dying, his voice falters but his resolve remains. In his final moments he reveals a chilling truth, that Nikolai had orchestrated everything. "I wish I never met you," he says, citing everything from releasing the prison video that exposed Craven's abilities to manipulating events leading to their confrontation. Nikolai had masterfully engineered the downfall of his competitor. Dmitri, consumed by rage, raises a weapon to finish the rhino himself, but Craven intervenes, stopping his brother from crossing a line he knows cannot be undone. The rhino succumbs to his injuries moments later, leaving behind a legacy of destruction. Determined to confront the mastermind behind it all, Craven travels to northern Russia to face Nikolai. Their meeting is tense, charged with years of resentment and betrayal. Nikolai, unrepentant, admits to his schemes, justifying them as necessary to eliminate the rhino while testing Craven's capabilities. He expresses no regret, insisting that his actions were meant to prepare Craven for greater challenges. Craven, disgusted by his father's manipulation and the empire of crime he built, finally understands the full scope of his father's darkness. Instead of exacting revenge himself, Craven delivers poetic justice. He leaves Nikolai alone in the wilderness with an empty gun. As Craven walks away, a massive bear emerges from the shadows, its presence an ominous conclusion to Nikolai's fate. A year later, life appears to have settled. Dmitri, now running his nightclub in England, entertains guests with his usual charm. On his birthday, Craven pays him a visit, bringing a sense of warmth and brotherly camaraderie. Dmitri thanks Craven for his support but cryptically mentions a doctor who profoundly changed his life. Craven is taken aback when he notices Dmitri's interactions with secretive individuals, their discussions laced with implications of dangerous deals. The atmosphere quickly turns sour as Dmitri accuses Craven of hypocrisy, comparing him to their father. He lashes out, claiming that Craven's relentless pursuit of justice is nothing more than a hunt for trophies to satisfy his ego. As emotions boil over, Dmitri undergoes a shocking transformation. His appearance shifts, morphing into an exact replica of Craven, revealing his chameleon-like abilities. Dmitri explains that the mysterious doctor amplified his natural talent for mimicry, allowing him to impersonate others with unsettling precision. His declaration that he has always been a chameleon strikes a deep chord, hinting at long-standing feelings of inferiority and a hidden desire for dominance. Dmitri's transformation is not just physical, it reflects his descent into moral ambiguity. Now intent on taking over their father's criminal empire, Dmitri embraces his darker side, declaring his intentions with chilling finality. Craven, horrified by his brother's fall from grace, vows to stop him, even if it means facing someone who knows him better than anyone else. Later, Craven discovers a note left behind by his late father, Nikolai. The words are simple yet powerful, urging Craven to accept his true nature despite the conflicts they once shared. Nikolai acknowledges their undeniable bond, calling them both great hunters. "We are hunters destined to carve their paths through life." As Craven reflects on his turbulent journey from a young boy shaped by loss to the man he has become, he feels the weight of his father's message settles within him. With quiet resolve, he dons a vest crafted from the hide of the lion that had forever changed him. The lion's strength, once a symbol of survival and transformation, now becomes his armor. Fully embracing its purpose, Craven steps forward, embodying the predator his father always believed him to be. Make sure to subscribe for more movie recaps. Thanks for watching.